All right.
I like it. I like to say that's
Okay, we're going to start our meeting. Before we do the call to order, we do a invocation, and this is completely optional. And Councilman Hoovler has volunteered to do the invocation tonight.
Dear Lord, I would ask that you please watch over the residents of this town, guide them and keep them safe. I would ask that you look over those who govern in this town and guide them and keep them safe and help them to make good decisions. I would ask that you look over all of us as we approach this week, as it is holy for many of us, and that you watch over those who are involved in the military and overseas that keep us safe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And I call this meeting of the Deerpark Town Board to order at 7:35 p.m. And will Councilman Trovei lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would everybody remain standing for a moment of silence for the Honorable Angelo Ingracia, a judge who recently passed away. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Okay, roll call on attendance. Councilman Trovei.
Here.
Councilman Spears.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Councilman Hoovler.
Here.
Supervisor Brabenec is here. 5 members answering to their names, and a quorum is present. All right, any additions or changes to the agenda? I have some changes. One would be to strike the Eagle Scout presentation for tonight. We'll probably be doing that in 2 weeks. And an addition of Mr. Mike Conklin, the president of the Port Jervis Middle School Student Council, under presentations. And that we move consideration of local law number 1 of 2013 to the bottom of the agenda under new business. So I'll move that all of those changes go into place.
I'll second them.
Seconded by Councilman Spears. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And motion carried 5-0. Any further additions or changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Nope.
I have none.
All right, we'll move on to opening board comments. Councilman Spears.
I'm going to hold them to the end, thank you.
All right, Councilman Trovei.
Post mine to the end.
Okay. Councilman Dean.
I'll follow suit.
And Councilman Hoovler.
Likewise.
All right, just one opening board comment. I want to thank my brother, Thomas Brabenec, for setting up our audio and video equipment. We're doing our first test of a live feed to YouTube channel today. So hopefully that is going through, and if that's successful tonight, we'll start advertising that. And that should be a regular thing, and meetings will be available online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So hopefully that'll work. So again, thank you, Tommy, for the use of your equipment and for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Completely volunteer.
Flo's not here. Would you announce if anybody wants to speak to sign in?
Okay, yeah, if anybody would like to speak on any agenda items, please sign in up front on the sheet there, right by our attorney, Glenn Plotsky. Our town clerk will be here momentarily, but if you do want to speak on an agenda item, please do come on up and sign your name and what you'd like to talk about. All right, we'll move on to presentations and communications. First up, we have Mr. Mike Conklin. He is the president of the Port Jervis Middle School Student Council. Welcome, and we're glad to have you here today.
Good evening. Supervisor Brabenec and members of the board, my name is Michael Conklin. I am the current Port Jervis Middle School Student Council president. As president, I would like you to know that I'm happy to help out with any events that you have coming up where you feel the youth of the tri-state area can help out. As PJMS president, I am trying to bridge the gap between Port Jervis and Deerpark, adults and youth alike. Even though I am 13 years old, I have donated and volunteered a lot. Together with my family, I have donated school supplies, food items, and clothes to the needy, volunteered at the First Assembly of God Community Day and Food Pantry, Project Discovery Community Outreach, National Super Kids Soapbox Derby in Akron, Ohio, assisted in the HB Kindergarten Orientation, helped Bill Smith organize the Christmas Parade, and coached Tom Thumb soccer team. One day I came across a grant called What Would You Bring to the Table? It is a grant given to teenagers to help put an end to childhood hunger. I thought, why not? I was very surprised when I got it. The purpose of the grant is to help local youth with breakfast. Many children would go without breakfast, and we all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Many times, if they are without breakfast, kids will not do as well in school, and therefore test scores suffer. I am trying to collect as many breakfast food items as I can to donate to local food pantries. This should help out many kids in our area. I'm here tonight to ask you if you would be interested in having a drop-off box for this worthwhile cause here. Thank you for your time. Oh, and one other thing is me and my brother are working on to donate blankets to veterans. And what is it? Here, Matthew will talk to you about that.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Matthew Conklin. I'm in 5th grade at HPE. On April 20th, many World War II veterans are making a trip to Washington, D.C. aboard the Honor Flight. I am making fleece blankets, like this one, to give to them on their journey. So far, I have made 10 blankets, and I have 90 more to go. If anyone has fleece they would like to donate or would like to make blankets with me or make them yourself and donate them to this cause, please let me know. Thank you.
Mike, where can they let you know? You want to give a phone number because you're live. You want to tell a phone number or an email?
Call our home at 845-856-0876.
Okay, well, you're not getting off the hook that fast. Stay there for a second. I want to know, how'd you get involved in the honor flight?
Our friend Mr. Simmons does it, and he's bringing them to Washington, and he asked him if he wanted to go, and he said he thought, why don't we make fleece blankets for them to take on their trip with them.
And are one of you going to go?
Not this year.
Not this year?
Not this year, yeah.
Okay, because if you get the chance, you should definitely do that, because those are some men that you want to be seen with. I got a question for your brother. Would you like an honorary appointment to our recreation committee? I mean, obviously you're a little young to be put on our committee. We have a committee in the town that plans recreation for the town. It's oversees our football fields, our baseball fields, our Easter egg hunts. It's got some good people on it. If you're interested, we would love to have you as an honorary member. We have a committee meeting, once a month here and there. Okay. And we talk about things that we can do for the community that would, benefit our youth and everyone in general for recreation. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay. Then what is your full name?
Michael Andrew Conklin.
Okay. Then I make a motion that we appoint Michael Andrew Conklin to our Recreation Committee as an honorary member.
Okay, moved by Councilman Hoovler. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Spears. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
And motion carried, 5-0. Congratulations.
We'll get a letter. We'll get a letter to you, and we'll tell you when the committee meetings are. And if you can make them, you come on up. If you can't, don't worry about it. We'd love to have a younger voice on them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thanks. Thank you for
all your work.
volunteering, and thanks for all your work. And I think what you guys are doing are great. So, good job.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We make minus blankets. How big are these blankets that you're making? That's something that we need to know. Lap size?
You have one with you that you could show her?
A little bit bigger. This one's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
More the lap size one.
Okay.
Okay.
A little bigger than a lap size.
Yeah.
Right.
That gives us an idea of where we're going.
Okay, very good.
All right. Yep, and I'm sure, if you speak with Norma afterwards, Norma's our historian, and there's a committee called the Museum Committee that she runs, and they have some great volunteers there, too, that do all sorts of projects, so they might be looking for a project to do, and you can do it in tandem. So, but definitely speak with our historian afterwards. It'd be great. All right, and speaking of our historian, we have Norma Schadt, our town historian, to do a historian's report. Thanks, Norma.
Thanks, Norma.
Thank you.
Welcome home, Norma.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm going to give both the Historian's Office and the Deerpark Museum report. I haven't been here, I realized, since I think last December, and so I'm going to have to catch up on a few things. The March issue with the Deerpark Diary was distributed today. I'm sorry it's late, but I didn't do it in Florida, and I had to do it when I got home. For the community outreach, I'm in the process of researching a new display with the thanks of David Dean, who gave us a painting of his family's sawmill. And I'm researching the sawmill industry, and it will be a new display which will be at the historian's office at the schoolhouse. Our historic markers project, Michael Murphy has earned his Eagle Scout, and he did all the work. We worked with him last year, and he did tell me, and he gave me his book that he had to hand in for his project. He gave my book away because the Boy Scout Council was so impressed with his work that they wanted his book, and they're going to use that as a pilot for other Eagle Scouts in other communities. So this is not something that will just take place here in Deerpark, but in other communities as well. In 2013, I plan to put the information of all the historic markers onto a map and then have that available for the website, along with a short paragraph of the background. I sent all this documentation to the State Historian's Office, and I received a nice letter back from him, as well as the Association of Public Historians for New York State. And on April 17th, I'm going to be presenting up in Syracuse, teaching local history using historic markers, and attached to your paper, you see that I'm first on the agenda on Wednesday, April 17th, up in Syracuse. And I'm really pleased with that because I go to this almost every year, and so many times the speakers are from upstate New York, the Mohawk Valley, the Great Lakes, the Albany area, along the Hudson. So we've arrived, I hope.
Good for you.
So, and the last thing is that I've applied for a grant. You had requested that I put together a book about the historic markers, and I did apply for a grant to have that published.
Wonderful.
The programs for the Deerpark Museum schedule has been completed. We are going to have 2 bus trips this year, one on July 20th, which will coincide with the Battle of Minnesink up in Barryville at Minnesink Ford, and another one August 24th, because we had such a long waiting list from last year that I almost believe that the first bus is already full this year for the July, and that's why we put the second one on. And I'm going to honor those people who are on the waiting list from last year before I work with the people who are new, the new ones. I think that's only the fair way to do it. On September 22nd, we will have an open house, and Catherine Westfall is putting together an extensive period costume display. She went to the Fashion Bug when they went out of business, and she bought all their mannequins. So the Grange is now full of mannequins. So don't think there are a lot of people in there. They're just mannequins.
They're just stiffs.
Yeah, they're stiffs, right. October 20th, I'm going to be giving a program about the Cutterbackville Neversink River Bridge and its history. And Frank Ketchum, who's the engineer for the project, has given us artifacts that have been dug up during construction, which included 2 different cables they are Roebling cables. he researched them, and he said they are definitely rolling cables by the construction of the way they were twisted and the number of cables that were twisted together. And they come from the 1840s bridge, which was over the Never Sink at that time. And that stands to reason because it was also the time of the aqueduct that went over the D&H Canal. And on November 20th, Michael Warden is going to give a talk about the 1877 murder of William Springstead, which was on Big Pond Road. And we also have 2 new members, Lynn and Bob Burns. And we can always use more members because we've always got lots to do. Now, I have a PS here. If I may speak as a citizen resident, this past week there was an article in the paper, just a column, about the snow melting. I don't know if you read it, and the trash that's under it. And I would really like to see the residents of this town to get out, and even if they just clean up in front of their yards, and if the lot across the way is empty, just cross the street and pick that up. Sometimes you see, if you go along 209, you see a sign that says, I don't even know what we call ourselves now. Oh, the cleanup crew, Citizens Cleanup Crew. Well, that's just a bunch of us, and we clean up 2 miles from just this side of the bridge up to about the Veneton Cemetery on 209. And we often think, we pass the houses. Most of the houses keep their yards pretty clean, but yet right across the street, where if there's nobody living there, is all this trash. And I thought if they could just walk across the street, clean that up, this town would look a lot better. That's my soapbox. As a private citizen, I'm not speaking as historian, and I'm not speaking as a member of the museum. I just think I would like to see that happen. And if you're interested in being part of the Adopt a Highway, they give you all the supplies, including vests, picker-uppers, bags. You just have to leave them on the side of the road. The state will come and pick them up. They're orange bags. But I don't think anyone would ever pick up more than a garbage bag full of stuff, and it would make a world of difference. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
I will now get off my soapbox. So, does anyone have any questions?
No, I think you're doing a wonderful, wonderful job as always.
Thank you.
And not afraid to say it. We have the best historian in the state of New York. Not afraid to say that. But yeah, you definitely do a wonderful job. Thank you for everything that you do, you know, for the historian's office and for Deerpark. And throughout the years, you've been wonderful. So
Thanks for
you.
representing us up here too. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good news. You're on the headline for the.
Absolutely.
That's one thing.
Deerpark, another example for the state.
Yeah,
We've
it's
gotten.
good. Thank you.
We're speaking to everybody, so that's a good
I'm
thing.
really excited because, as I said, so much that I hear about is from other ends of the state.
Yeah, it's great.
And this is about the first time. Susan Isaacson from Montgomery will also be presenting.
Wonderful.
So this is really the first time that somebody from Region 3 has been up there.
Well, congratulations and bring it home. That's it. Thank you very much, Norma.
Okay, thank you.
Great job.
Yes, thank you. And on the one note that you did bring up, I know that the town, it must have been now, probably 15 years ago or so, they did have a road cleanup crew, a volunteer road cleanup crew, and they adopted highways and roads throughout the town. And it was, I believe it was a program that was run through the town. Problem is, again, volunteerism has gone down greatly. But if anybody is out there and listening or is here tonight and wants to head up a program like that, we'd be happy to help out with starting something like that to keep our roadways clean, because it is very discouraging to see that when you're driving down 209 or 211, coming down the hill on 211 and all over the place, Greenville Turnpike, and you just see garbage everywhere, and you see like a bag of garbage thrown on the side of the road. It's tires and couches, and it's a terrible thing. But if anybody would like to volunteer for that out there, definitely let my office know, and we will get that up and running again. All right, next, we have approval of minutes of the previous meetings. We have the minutes from March 11th, 2013. Has everybody reviewed those?
I'm going to abstain. I was visiting my dad. I wasn't here.
Okay, one abstention from Councilman Spears. Everybody else is good with those? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
All right, moved by Councilman Dean. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Trovei. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? With one abstention. So we have the votes approved by a vote of 4-0 with one abstention. Public comment period, 3 minutes per person, agenda items only. Our town clerk's not here, so.
Nobody's on the list.
Nobody's on the list, okay. So we will move on. The first portion of business is resolution number 7 of 2013. Resolution number 7 is be it resolved that the town board of the town of Deerpark, Orange County, New York authorizes the town supervisor to sign contract with the Port Jervis Deerpark Humane Society for services rendered in 2013. Upon passage, this resolution shall take effect immediately. Just a little bit of background. We sign a contract with the Humane Society to provide services in conjunction with our dog control officer for housing stray pets, and they do a whole host of other items too. So we have a contract with them every year that we do sign, and this year they're asking for a 2% increase from last year. So I leave it to you guys.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for 2013 with a 2% increase.
Okay, moved by Councilman Spears, seconded by Councilman Hoovler. Any discussion?
I'm glad they working within our budget means is what we offered them last year. So they do provide us with a needed service, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. So I'll make that recommendation.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? They do a fantastic job, and from all accounts, from what I've been hearing the past few months, they're probably one of the better shelters in the Orange County area. So that's a good thing to have in our town. So doing a good job. Keep up the good work. I'll call the roll. Councilman Trovei.
Yes.
Councilman Spears.
Yes.
Councilman Dean.
Yes.
Councilman Hoovler.
Yes.
Supervisor Brabenec, yes. And resolution 7 of 2013 is adopted by a vote of 5-0. Moving on to the next agenda item, appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have one vacancy on the zoning board. We have advertised for that for the past month and a half. We received one letter. The letter was from our alternate, Mr. Daniel Witt of Oakland Valley Road. He's been serving as an alternate for probably at least a year and a half. He has zoning board experience from the city of Middletown as well, where he used to reside, and I think he'd make a good addition. Plus, he was our only letter. So I would move to appoint Mr. Daniel Witt to the vacant zoning board of appeals seat for a term ending December 31st, 2014. And I need a second.
I'll second. Oh, Dave.
Seconded by Dave Hoovler. Any discussion?
I can't hear you with them talking.
Please be quiet in the back of the room. And, okay, so any further discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And motion carried 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Witt. And he will be notified by the town clerk to take his oath of office. Also on that point, we do have two alternates for the planning board right now, but now we have no alternates for the zoning board of appeals. They did have a quorum, not so much a quorum issue, but they did have a couple of conflicting issues where an alternate could have stepped in at the last meeting. So we do need to find, one or two alternates for the zoning board. If anyone is interested in getting involved and wants to be an alternate to the zoning board of appeals, you must live in the town. Must be a town resident and over 18, and just submit a letter to the town clerk or submit an email to the town clerk expressing your interest, and we will call you in for an interview. So So, or if you guys know of anyone, let them know as well.
Pretty good pay.
Great pay, wonderful pay. So, all right, next on the agenda, approval of use of the baseball fields at Space Park for the Port Jervis Little League. I believe this is going to be the first time in many years that we're actually going to be utilizing the baseball fields down in Space Park for the Little League. Very, very happy about that. We're bringing it back from Port Jervis back to the town of Deerpark. So definitely a good thing and another quality of life expansion for Space Park. So I will entertain a motion for that purpose.
Make the motion.
Moved by Councilman Hoovler, seconded by Councilman Spears. And any further discussion?
Is that going to replace something in Port Jervis, or it's just addition to?
It's an addition to. They'll still be playing down there, but now
some of the
they'll have some
younger
of the
leagues and
games.
maybe an older league will be playing up here. And on that note, I spoke with Ed Hewson today. We placed the order for the yellow protective piping that goes around the top of the fences, and we made a deal with the company. They also included 2 sets of bases for down there for us. So,
Oh, wonderful.
so Ed did a good job. He tracked down the lowest bidder, and then they also threw in some bases. So I authorized that purchase today.
That's great. Sounds
Must have
good.
been stolen bases, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds great. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And motion carried 5-0. Okay, next on the agenda is consideration of local law number 1 of 2013, which is our proposed zoning changes. We do have the zoning board map in my office if somebody wanted to get it. Al, do you think you can get that in the office there? All right, it's right on that wall there, just to bring that out. We've been, just as a little bit of background, we've been considering various zoning changes to some of the provisions of the zoning law, and also to some of the sections, the mapping sections in the town. Most of it has to do with expansions on our HMU districts, which is a hamlet mixed-use district, in our Route 6 corridor area, which is in the southern part of town. And what we have done is, where it currently is, we have the HMU sections in the northeastern part of town and down toward Huguenot also on 209. What we have done is we have connected it, so it goes all the way down the 209 corridor. And we've also added portions of Route 211 as well, which is in the northeastern part of town, to do HMU. So HMU is pretty much on most of the major highways. There was an original proposal months back to increase the HMU area and the Sparrowbush area to go up Route 42. We received a few letters, some emails that the residents wanted it changed back to the current zoning, which is a residential settlement and a rural residential area. The board looked at that, and we felt that it was necessary to change that back. So a few months ago, we had a motion to change the local law proposal to change it back to a RS and a RR area up the 42 corridor. There's also a section on the eastern or the western part of town off of Wilson Road, which is a PRRD district, or a planned Planned Retirement Residential District. And we could not do much with that because that has to do with a court order that goes back to the early 1990s, or a court settlement. So there wasn't much that can be done. Things have been tried to be tinkered with that in the past, and had to go back to the original zoning with that because it is court ordered. So we did not touch any of the provisions of that area, and we left that alone on the map. Some of the goals of the town, or the goals of the town board, is to increase opportunities for business to come in, ratables such as maybe some new restaurants, a bank, light industry, light commercial, to try to bring some jobs into the area and try to stabilize our tax base. Currently, when you take a look at our town, I believe it is either 94% or 95% of the tax burden is actually on the residents. And there's very little commercial, very little industry left in the town, where we used to have that years ago. You've seen restaurants close up shop. If you go down along 209, there are just vacant businesses, vacant lots. There's not much left. So this is part of the, one of the first parts of the many steps in order to compete with states like Pennsylvania and New Jersey to try to get some of these businesses into these districts, especially down 209, possibly in our interchange business district, which is right off of exit 1 on Route 84. We've already had some success there, where we brought in a plant. We've changed some of the regulations there in the past couple of years. We have brought a Planet Fitness with a retail retail facility that's right off of exit 1. Also right next door is we just brought in a RV and boat warehouse, which is going to employ about 20 people. So that's definitely a plus in that area, and we're hoping that other businesses will come along in that area as well. Not only are we looking at new businesses, we are looking at existing businesses and restrictions that are placed on existing businesses. You know, we don't want these existing businesses to close up shop either or move away from the town, so we are trying to accommodate as best as possible. And we're trying to keep certain areas of the town in the same character as it is, and we're trying to also look toward the future to try to bring or try to stabilize our tax base a little bit by bringing in some more rateables. And again, this zoning effort is part of the first wave of an effort to try to do this. There's many other things that have to come into play, but again, this is one of the first things. But I know one of the people that have been working very hard on this is our town engineer, Al Fusco. We haven't been working on this for about 2 months, so I want him to come up here, give us an update. We did have some public comment. We actually had 2 public hearings. We have looked into some of those changes where mistakes were made or in the current proposal to try to change those back. So I'll let Al talk a little bit about that and give the board an update and the public as well. So Al, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. As you said, we haven't addressed it formally, but obviously I've been working on it diligently to make the changes that came up at many of the past meetings. One of the things that I think was important to do was to coordinate it. We did have some changes because it was suggested by one of the local residents that we match the town code rather than mimic the previous zoning code. That was George had suggested that. So we went back and changed all the numbers. Mr. Spears found one that we forgot. We made that change. I found some more that would make that appropriate. It didn't change the text at all, but it made it clearer. One of the things also that we had done is from the public hearing, we had gotten comments from the public relating to some items in the charts didn't necessarily coincide with the written word later on. And we checked it out, and it was pretty close, but it wasn't clear, so we clarified that. So all of that, had been done. Towards that end, there was a couple of other issues. One that had come up regarding Big Pond Mine, and we had gotten a request at the public hearing from the attorney for the YMCA and other local residents to mandate a buffer. So we changed the word from may to shall, and I don't think that adversely impacts the town's ability to move forward in any way, but it did, help ease some of the residents' burden. So we, moved forward on that. One of the other items that you had brought up to me, if it's appropriate to talk about that now, was in relationship to, I brought it up under a non-conforming use aspect because the language that came out from, I believe it might have been the partnership, was that an existing structure could be used for the same or less intensive use upon approval by the building department. And then it set a period of 30 days. I thought that whereas that could happen within a day, that even 30 days sometimes might be a little too restrictive to have it actually written. The goal would be to do it almost immediately if it made sense. So what I did is I put down an existing structure can be used for the same or less intense use upon approval by the building department. Building department can send it to the planning board for a determination if there's questionable aspects of it. So in other words, if the building inspector feels that he may be stretching something a little bit and needs some guidance, he can get that guidance from the planning board. One of the things where this has been placed is I put it underneath the area of non-conforming use, because state law indicates that a non-conforming use, once a 12-month period has expired after the use has ceased, that use no longer is a workable use under the zoning. With this clause, it gives the building department and or the planning department some flexibility, which I know you were looking for. An example could be, the restaurant up at Hawk's Nest, things of that nature, that it could go back to the same use or a, lesser use. But again, it needs a determination by someone, and that determination could be the building department. In that case, I would have suggested that it go to the planning board anyway, because it's a fairly aggressive use, and it wasn't a 1 year and 1 month, it was several years. But that gives the town the flexibility to move forward on many of those same areas. One of the other things that sort of came up at a planning board meeting recently is that we have no area, and this is something new to you gentlemen, we don't have any area that specifically states that a school or a college can be in any one particular zone or not. What we do have is a language that, a public building can be in pretty much any zone, and that would include public school. It didn't include private school, which led some doubt in some of our minds in that regard. And I would take your direction if you feel that that should be added as a special use in any or all districts. That's something I think that you need to consider and give me some direction on. One of the other areas that came up, and I found this in a neighboring town, where they are also considering billboards, all right, and digital billboards. And that is that a percentage of the time would be allocated for public service messages. So I had drafted some language that basically said the town can request up to 5% of public service messages. Those could be as innocuous as buckle up, or it's fire prevention week, or 84 is going to be closed and down to one lane in each direction, that type of public service thing, or bridges are icier than the surrounding pavement, whatever you want to do. But I thought that might be appropriate. And it would be only if the town wanted to, but they would have that capability. So those are some of the areas that I had, looked at, aside from the changes that were brought up in the public hearing that I had made mention of before. And I think it's now a very clear document. I only have one extra copy that I printed up at this point, pending some of the answers that I've just brought up to you now.
Do any of the board members have questions?
Basically, I guess I would say at this point, we've done all our public hearings, we've done our due diligence, you have this prepared, you've made some of the changes, what I would call minor changes, as reflective to changing the the HMU back to the way it was up on Route 42 because of the desire of the residents up there, which was great. We appreciated their input. And the other little minor changes to codify things correctly, that's all accomplished. The document stands well written at this point in your eyes.
Yeah, it is. There was one thing I forgot to mention. We had mentioned it at a previous meeting, but it might not have been out to the public, was in relationship to a scrap processor. I know, Mr. Trovei, you were made aware of it, and so was the clerk, in relationship to a police officer coming by and you know, wanting to look at the code in relationship to that. We did add that into the code, and that is an annual event, whereas we kept the rest of it at a 5-year event for renewals. Obviously, we're at that time of year again, and since we haven't passed this year will be another 1-year renewal of the junkyard license, which, by the way, the building department has informed me that they've passed out, they've reviewed all of the junkyards this year, and they've given you comments on all of those, which you can probably handle at the next meeting. I think they're in all your bins now. But we did include that that you had brought to my attention, and the clerk as well, and that is a part of this document. I believe it's a $75 charge, which we've written into that. When we do our annual budget again, we would determine if that would be in addition or if we would lower the junkyard fee appropriately to have it be the same. That would be up for discussion.
So as far as the 5-year licensing, we'd still be doing 5-year licensing on the campgrounds, the
campgrounds
junkyard
in June,
approvals, that kind of thing, as far as the town board, right? As far as the scrap metal license, we would have to do that annually as per New York State law.
That would be annually, right?
And would that be done through the town board, or would that be a building department function?
That would be through the building department and the town clerk.
And the town clerk. Okay, so really wouldn't have to do anything for a town board function, right? Okay. I know.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Okay. Since I first heard about it this evening, I understand that Mr. Fusco may have made a change with regard to the grandfathering or the ability for an existing structure to essentially with
it hasn't been changed yet. It's up for discussion.
Okay. The way that you just described it, it sounded like it had been added in. And all I'm saying is, if the board is so inclined, that's contrary or at least somewhat using home rule to circumvent New York State law. That's not a minor change. That will require another public hearing. And that's my comment with regard to that. I've expressed my opinion privately to one or more members of the board as to whether I think it's a good idea or not. But regardless of that, if that is your inclination, it will require a public hearing. And that I thought was important to say.
Okay, thank you.
So that's not in there at this point, document?
No, what I did, and I'm sorry if I misspoke, but we had gotten that, I think we all got it through an email this week, all right? And what I did is I have recommended that the draft be softened a little bit to take out that 30 days and also take out the total discretion of the building department, so if they have doubts, they can put it through the planning board as well.
Can we do that as we can do that as a
at a later time?
Yeah, Glenn, we can do that as a local law at a later time, right? That section, we can add that section or amend it.
Like add in the minor sections, and the major section would be a separate local law as an amendment.
Yeah, I mean, it's our view that if you're doing zoning, do zoning. Get it? I mean, you're talking about it now. Do it all as part and parcel, but I suppose, sure, I don't see why not. If you can adopt it as a local law, you can, zoning is a local law.
I have to interject here. Nobody would like to see this done quicker than me. However, I think if you're going to make these kind of changes, you got to have another public hearing. I agonize over the fact of going through that again because, quite frankly, there's so much misinformation being bannered about the zoning changes that it'll make you tear your hair out. However, in a circumstance like this, I think it behooves us to err on the side of caution and follow council's recommendation, not only for that particular subject, but other subjects as well. We're years into it now. Another few weeks is not going to make a huge difference here. So I, for one, would concur with council and say that, listen, let's look at this, let's finalize it amongst ourselves, let's sit down, we'll have the meetings that we need to have, and then have a public hearing, post it on the website so that everybody can see it, and then we'll pass it or not pass it at that time.
Okay. Now, I remember there was, as far as the RS zones, did you have a suggestion with the RS zones?
Yeah, here's where I'm at on this, and even though we've disagreed several times, Derek Wilson has brought up some valid observations and comments about the rural settlement zone. That was changed from 2 acres to 1, and there are some setback issues that also changed with it. After consideration of that and a rereading of that and Derek's comments, I'm thinking that should go back to the 2 acres and the previous setback requirements, etc. And you know, that's something I'd like to see change back. And I know that sounds like we're spinning our wheels and we're going backwards, but quite frankly, you know, we waited this long. I don't think that a few more weeks is going to matter. I mean, I'm certainly willing to listen to everybody's opinion on that. And hey,
there's also one other thing that we should discuss, which is what you were bringing up about the private schools and being special uses in various districts. How does the board feel about that?
It's new to me tonight, but I would think that it's going to require a little bit of thought and some more information. But I mean, my original feeling is if we got to have some kind of control over a private school in the zone that it goes in, whether it be a special use or whether we designate it in special zones, so that we have a little bit of control over that. We have no idea what the size is going to be. Is it a one-room schoolhouse, or is it a 4,000 student private school? We're going to need to look into it, and we're going to most definitely probably going to have to make it special use in all zones.
Right. Okay.
That's what I
and then we'll need
suggested.
a definition for private school in the zoning, I'm guessing.
I guess my comment would be with this. I know we've worked on this for a long time, and it's been beleaguered, and it's been draining, and I just find it very draining at this point. Personally, in my opinion, those are all issues. If you're saying we want to have another public hearing, that takes time. That's that we got to go through the whole procedure again. I like the document that's written. I think we should pass it, and then if we got to tweak it, then we tweak it, and then we're not dealing with this big giant again. We're dealing with areas that maybe somebody came back with some, like Derek made some good comments. We come back and try to address those issues and tweak this thing back again, as we go forward. I think it's a very good document as it's written, but there's been an awful lot of work into it. I've seen this, went from 1 public hearing to 2 public hearings to 3 public hearings to 5. I mean, when is this? And one of the biggest progress things that we were trying to do was to make zones with allowed uses instead of everything being a special use in this town. And I think that's one of the most important things we can bring forward if we're hoping for some kind of development at this point. That's my opinion, but whatever.
Okay, any other opinions from the board? There's a couple ways we can handle it, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm with Art. Quite frankly, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It's taken too long. You know, 1 acre, 2 acre, I understand, I've looked at it, you know.
Well, if we want to tackle it tonight, I think you should take into consideration, I think it's a small change for RS to go from 1 acres back to 2 acres. I don't think that requires a public hearing. I think you could probably make that change on paper. I'm not so sure about the school item or about the, you know, just going to the building department for use. If you want to take those 2 items out, change the RS from 1 back to 2, I'll go with what we have, but I don't think we can go with the other 2 items without another public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, the one.
If I could make a suggestion, it sounds like you're leaning towards the possibility of, passing the document as it was developed. Before it's actually printed, you could have another public hearing just for those 2 or 3 items. I agree with you. If you want to take it from 1 acre back to 2, that's what it was before. So I don't see the need for a public hearing on that. I defer to council, of course. But on the other ones, you could have another public hearing, just for those, and do another local law just for those before we actually publish the document. So it would be passed, it would be a document, but we wouldn't, publish it into, the pretty form until, you're done.
All right, one suggestion, there were about 4 or 5 items that were changes in the original document. What we could do as a board tonight is vote whether or not to incorporate those specific changes in. We're going to have another public hearing, unfortunately, anyway.
Not unless you make those changes.
Unless we don't do if we don't do any of this, then we don't have to.
You can do that later.
So, but then you're going to have another public hearing anyway.
Yeah, but if it drags out, it drags out. And then we could keep getting input. We can have time to discuss, because these are new items. There's time to discuss it, and if it takes another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to do those items, we have time to do it, but we can move forward on the document that I think is going to be progressive for the town, and that's my opinion. And I think that's what Davis can concur with.
I don't have an issue with moving, obviously Derek Wilson. I would defer. Actually, when it comes to land use on our planning board, there's nobody better than him. And obviously, you pointed that out, did you not? The moving the 1 to 2.
Yeah, it's back to where it was. For the geography of the town.
I have no issue with that if Mr. Wilson supports that.
Can we? I guess the question would be from both Glenn, you and you. Can we vote this document into place with just making that change right now that we go back from 1 to 2 without doing anything? Because that's like a minor.
I don't think that would require a public hearing.
Right.
I think everything else has been subjected to review and public hearing. So I don't know if it's draft-wise ready, if you've seen the final document, but if that's the only modification you're talking about from the last time it was subjected to a public hearing, I don't have an objection to that.
That was it.
Well, language already exists in the old zoning for...
But to be honest with you, everything else is the same. I have to change 2 numbers because nothing else really changed in that zone. That was the only thing that changed from 2 to 1, and it's written in 2 places in the document, so it's not a problem.
The setbacks and everything are constant?
They never changed.
Consistent?
In that zone.
Okay.
In that zone, the setbacks were never changed.
So let me address this to council. I'll go down the specific items to see if there's major or a minor change, and then we'll, if it's a major change, we can hold off on it. The private schools regarding the special use in all zones.
That's a major.
As long as that gets done.
Digital billboards, 5% PSA messages.
frankly,
know.
I don't think that's even in the zoning. I mean, I think that that's just
Totally new.
required.
Should be a new addition of the zoning, so it'd probably be major, correct?
I don't even know if it would be incorporated into the zoning, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
That could just be something that the planning board puts in as a condition of approval.
And they do have that right, because they got, everything could be conditional on that. All right, let's take that out then.
Okay. 2 acres for the lot sizes in the RS zone.
Minor.
The 1-year scrap metal licensing provisions.
That's state law.
Cut and dried.
Cut and dry.
Alrighty, so.
And then the
And
other.
then the other portion, the 30-day approval by the building department on a use, that would be major, of course. So that would have to go into a separate item. Okay, so I'll have, what I'll do is I'll have you draft the major items in a local law along with Glenn, and, you know, for a presentation for a second local law, you know, after this process is done.
Fine.
But I would move to change the minimum lot sizes in RS zones from 1 acre to 2 acres in the proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Dean. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And motion carried. Also move that in addition, with the 5-year licensing rule, with the addition of the 1-year scrap metal licensing provision as per New York State law, I'll move that that is added in. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Spears. All in favor?
I abstain.
And 1 abstention. All opposed? And motion carried 4 yeses, 0 noes, 1 abstention. That's Councilman Trovei. Okay, the other things will be drafted in. The other thing doesn't really have to do with zoning. All right, so we have a document. I move that we adopt local law number 1 of 2013.
I second that.
Seconded by Councilman Trovei. Any discussion?
We're all comfortable with it.
Yeah, without the other new
Without
stuff.
those new provisions, right.
Good.
And that would include the incorporation of the map as well.
Yeah, and if things come up that we got to tweak that the public wants done, we'll work with that. That's
Okay.
the idea.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, since local law, it's roll call. Councilman Trovei.
Yes.
Councilman Spears.
Yes.
Councilman Dean.
Yes.
Councilman Hoovler.
Yes.
Supervisor Brabenec, yes. And local law number 1 of 2013 is adopted by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr.
you.
Engineer and Mr. Counsel. All right, that's all for new business. We have appropriation budget and payment of bills. We have the payment of bills for the last abstract, general fund number 6, which is $62,654.56. Highway abstract number 6, $101,691.63. And street lighting for Deerpark Manor number 4, $349.33. I'll move to approve all bills with 3 or more council signatures.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Dean. In discussion, all abstracts and spending items are available at the town clerk's office for review. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Thanks, Dan.
Motion carried 5-0. Closing board comments. Councilman Spears.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Conklin young men that came here tonight. We appreciate your dedication and hard work for the community. I'd like to welcome you to the Recreation Committee as an honorary member, and just hope that you keep up the good work. Very impressive. Also like to thank Norma Schadt for the work that she does. I know that she's been away and put this together in a short amount of time, but very impressive, and we wish you well when you go up and give your presentation. We're very proud of you, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Trovei.
Same thing, Norma. I think it's great you put Deerpark on the map, and go make us proud. I know you will, and you do a great job. And if you can inspire others around the state to take on a similar thing, that would be wonderful. So thank you very much. Mike and Matt, I think it's wonderful. What a blessing to have young men step forward and do things that you guys are doing. So I wish you God's blessings and wisdom in all that you do. We thank you for being a part of our town and our community, for being a leader for the middle school. Take that with great responsibility. Your peers have voted you to be a leader. Who knows where that leads you in the future, so use the gifts that God gave you. So I also want to thank everybody that took part in this long and arduous journey to get this local law through. It is my prayer that it will benefit everybody in this community, and for the long term, try to stabilize taxes, maybe create some jobs, help us to keep our youth around. Derek, thank you for all your input and all your help with it too. We really do appreciate it. This is not a small effort from everybody, and everybody's input has been appreciated to help tweak this thing. I also just want to wish everybody, this is a wonderful week for many of us. Count it as a very, very holy and special week. Those that understand Passover and understand the blessings that God gave by passing over a whole nation and freeing a whole nation from slavery. I pray that this nation continues to be free and that our leaders work in a way to keep us that way. I think of the wonderful love and great sacrifice that was made on Good Friday, and I hope that everybody will understand what that's about and the great price that was paid that day. I wish you all the blessings of Easter. May you know the love of God. May you know how much that he loves each and every one of us, and may we look back to him as a nation. Amen.
Thank you. Very well said. Thank you. Councilman Dean.
Wow. I mean, where do you go from all that, you know? I, too, would like to thank Mike and Matt Conklin. I'll tell you, your mom must be very proud because, quite frankly, young fellows like you are the future of America. And it does my heart good to see this. I'll tell you read so much bad stuff and you see so much bad stuff. And then two young men come here and they do this kind of stuff. It just makes you feel great. Amen. So I wish you well. And if we can help in any way, all you got to do is come back and ask, because I'm sure Miss Schadt has lots of stuff to put you guys to work if you need something to do. And you're a credit to your community and to your family. Norma, welcome home. It's been a long winter. You came home and it snowed. I don't know what's going on here. So, listen, I want to thank you from my family on the sawmill display. My sisters are grateful, and of course I'm grateful. We're also very proud of the fact that you're going to Syracuse and you're going to make a presentation. Mrs. Schat's comments on picking up the trash along the road is very germane. My wife walks in the morning for exercise. I don't walk, I eat for exercise. But I also help pick the trash up along our road. And it's a daily occurrence for my wife to come home with one of these small bags that you get at ShopRite, loaded with beer cans, soda cans, cigarette packs, the list goes on and on. And all it takes is a little bit of effort to bend over, pick it up, bring it home, give it to your husband, he'll take it to the dump. So, I mean, really, if everybody just did a little bit, it would make a huge, huge difference in our town. We live in a beautiful place, we should take good care of it. Zoning. I want to thank Al Fusco for working on the zoning. He's dealt with 5 personalities that think this way, that way, and then the public input. I mean, this is a huge undertaking to do this. It's been a long time since it was updated. It's not perfect. Nothing ever is. But there's a lot of hard work, a lot of thought went into this. Derek, I appreciate your comments and your input. And listen, as the need arises, we can change what we've done here. But I think we've made a key step in the right direction. We must expand the tax base in our town so that all of us can stay here. Because quite frankly, the school taxes are going to drive us right out of here unless we expand the amount of people and the amount of businesses that are helping to pay the bills. So, I wish everybody a happy Easter and Passover. Indeed, Mr. Trovei, it is a special time. And thank you for coming out tonight.
All right, thank you. Councilman Hoovler.
I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter, joyous Passover. It is one of those special times of the year. Norma, when you left in December, you said you'd see us when it was warm.
Liar.
Liar.
Well, boy. You didn't bring anything warm with you. Do a wonderful job. Actually, I'm hoping this year that I can sneak in some time to go on your bus tour there in August, if there's a chance. I think you did do a wonderful job. I think with the zoning, I think Al Fusco, Glenn, you guys have had to put up with five personalities. You've done a good job. I think the zoning should start in the beginning because it seemed like we started it that long ago. And I think it is a work in progress. There'll have to be changes made to it, but we do need to expand the tax base of our community. Those of you that don't know, Orange County lost a real good guy this week. Ange Ingrassia was a judge for a long time, came out of Middletown. The Ingrassia name is very common over there. He died just a couple days from his 90th birthday, a few days ago. Absolutely a wonderful man who, almost up until he died, still practiced law. And on his deathbed, he was still signing legal documents, and he made people move their hands. I heard the story. Move your hands so I can read it. An incredible man, incredible family. He will be sadly missed. I know that the school budget is coming up soon. I hope everybody pays attention to it. It's a very tough thing because it has to be a balance between the education of our children as well as our ability to pay. So I hope people watch that and make good reasoned decisions when it comes to that, because the children are the future. To the Conklin boys, great examples. Can't get any better than what you're doing. Class president, huh? How you like that? I'll give you a couple words of advice. Politics get a lot tougher as you get older. Okay? So keep that in mind. And always remember, every decision you make, there's one more group of people that won't like you. But it is rewarding. Remember that. And finally, thank you guys for all you do for me.
It's a pleasure.
That includes you, Flo Santini, Glenn Plotsky, Al Fusco. You all know what I'm saying. Other than that, I hope everyone has a happy Easter.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Hoovler.
It's a shame that you used all of Carl's time.
I know, jeez. Thanks a lot. Well, again, thank you again to the Conklin boys. You guys did fantastic, and any help you need from my office or from me, I'm here for you. Phone call away, Facebook message away, so and I'll be there for you guys. So just get a hold of me. Again, I'm very, very relieved and happy that we had a vote tonight on the zoning proposal. We've been working on it for months, and where it just started from a small idea when we first took office 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a major achievement and accomplishment in this administration, and you guys all deserve a round of applause for that. Our engineer worked extremely hard. Our town attorney, our town clerk doing research on this stuff too. So it was a group effort, and I want to thank everybody for that. And one of the major pieces of legislation that I hope will garner this town in a positive direction in the next 10 or 20 years. There's still a lot more to do, and we're going to be working on that in the next year and hopefully the following year and years after that. But, we are on the way, and hopefully the economy is going to get a little better, and we'll try to entice some people into this town and get some services and tax rateables here for our town residents. Our Easter egg hunt is coming up. It's going to be this weekend at Space Park. I believe it's Saturday at, what time is it? 12 o'clock, Space Park. So definitely come down. Hopefully it'll be warm weather for us. Let's hope. A happy Passover, a happy Good Friday, and a happy Easter to everyone. And once again, thank you to my brother Tommy for controlling our first YouTube broadcast, and hopefully it went off without a hitch. And we're moving into the 21st century finally. So that's all I have. It is 8:45. We have an executive session scheduled, so I'd like to move that we go into executive session for potential litigation, C&D battery, and also potential litigation with the Schadt House, inviting in our town attorney, Mr. Glenn Plotsky, and that we start the executive session at 9 o'clock due to the fact that we have to take down some of the equipment. I need a second for that.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Spears. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And motion carried 5-0. And I will move that we recess until 9 o'clock. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Trovei. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And thank you. Have a good night, everyone.